Hey, Sam.
Hello.
Sam, why does every single episode of this show make me want to just scream incoherently?
I cannot answer that. I can say that we're recording this late because I have, taken the time to just finish sobbing from
Uh,
many different emotions.
Happy sobbing as well as sad sobbing?
Just all of the confused, joyful, grief-stricken sobbing.
Mm-hmm. It's like Max Landis and everyone on the show has, for this episode, taken every single fandom sort of thing that I would have both wanted and feared to have happen and has started to make them happen.
Yep.
Like Bart dancing and everyone getting under like a love spell and Hobbs and oh goodness.
Okay. So yeah, before we get into the actual episode, because yes, to all of that, I just wanted to make a quick shout out to all the people responsible for the Save Dirk Gently tag and Twitter
Yes.
campaign.
It's been making me feel happy.
Yes, and it's been great seeing everybody's love for the show, and let's keep it up, and we will include a link with the relevant information along with all of our other links, so please, support the show.
Yes. At BBC America, at Netflix when it finally comes on for the second season, and anywhere else where you can buy merchandise or episodes of the show. Just, I don't know. Help these actors because they're giving us a lot.
Okay, so.
Can we just jump into the end of the episode and Hobbs? Because I have so many feelings about Hobbs and things to talk about.
Okay. Just, be quick.
Just rip off the bandage, Sam.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing. Well,
Yeah.
oh God, no, so many things. So many things. I don't. Okay. I thought I had composed myself enough to do this episode. I do not think that Hobbs is dead.
Pray, please explain, because I will take any shred of hope.
Well, I went back through the different episodes and I was looking specifically at the colors of the spells that have been cast.
Okay.
And at the very least, when Susie kills and vaporizes the book club, the spell that she uses is a white or light blue, very bright light, while the spell that the mage uses on Hobbs at the very end is a very distinct purple. And it's a purple that I don't think we've seen yet in the show.
So you're saying there's hope that the effects of the spell were somewhat less lethal?
Yes. I mean, I don't know what you're hoping for. I'm hoping for either some kind of stereotypical TV like animal transfiguration, or else Hobbs getting sent to Wendemore or something.
I mean, I'm not really hopeful for anything, I'll be honest. Just the way they had it, him saying goodbye to Tina the way he did, him charging Farah with, keeping everyone safe. Exactly. That was just like, damn, that was a legacy to leave. It was just such a good representation of the character, such a good way to kind of end. Because that's exactly who he was. He was the one who, okay, this thing happened and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna step up and, make sure the things, the boring, necessary things get done that need to get done. And
he's not going to hesitate to reach out to people and to hug them and to take care of his people.
Exactly. And oh goodness.
Yeah, and it is an episode where
No,
It is
it's
an episode
very,
where Dirk kept repeatedly talking about how nice normal people die. They just die.
yeah, just very lovely people, very dead.
It could be that they set it all up just to torture us, though,
Well,
to
it worked.
build that suspense. Yes, but yeah. Well, I was in suspense enough that I went back and looked at all the spells. Um, I am maintaining hope. I don't think we have seen the last of Hobbs. Although I was also getting absolutely horrible parallels between him and Estevez, not only because they're both, law enforcers, but this episode we see Hobbs getting a lot more shaky about things because he starts asking, like, why can't we just focus on one thing at a time? And when Farah starts to explain, he just goes, "Yeah, everything is connected. I get it." And I've just had such strong parallels to Estevez's. I just want to know what's going on. I just want to be a good cop.
Well, damn you.
He just wants to understand what's happening.
Exactly.
And then between that and the fact that every single time we have a joyful, uplifting dance montage, something like this happens now. As much as I was absolutely enthralled with, Bart's dancing and everyone dancing and the music playing and the rowdies and everything, like, throughout that entire thing, I'm like, God, I can't let myself be happy because you won't do this to me again. You won't catch me off guard again. And then it happened, and I was just like, vindication!
That was a beautiful moment, though. The music was
God, it was
perfect.
gorgeous.
I loved Bart and Panto dancing. I loved Dirk just like running his fingers down his face like he's actually just happy and allowing himself to like feel good for the first time in forever. Farah, oh my goodness, Farah.
Farah.
Do you know all I
I mean,
kept thinking of during the whole Farah bit?
what?
I need to look it up. I will put the link in the description, but I don't remember the name of the artist. But there's this comic where it's just like a witch is sitting there with their friend and it's like, "Oh, what are you making?" "Oh, it's a love potion." "Oh, who do you want to love you?" "Me." And just like downs the whole thing.
I love that. That's amazing.
I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, just
Of course.
Farah, our beautiful, beautiful, badass, anxiety-ridden mess of a woman, just saying, like, no, that's bull. I deserve, to be
Yeah.
appreciated unconditionally, and I am good. And oh my goodness, Farah, 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 my baby.
Yeah. There was someone on Tumblr, their username was, I think, Squishy Little Bear. And I absolutely loved what they said about Farah. And I think we were all just emoting together. She says, she said, real talk though, Farah's arc this episode is making me teary-eyed because the moment you give yourself permission to stop trying to fit in and play by everyone else's rules is so scary and exciting and freeing, and honestly, my heart is bursting. And so I am right there with that.
That entire sentiment, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, oh God, her tears when Hobbs deputizes her. I had tears.
Oh my goodness. He quoted the code for her.
He did. He made it so official. And
by the book.
he said her middle name. He did everything humanly possible to make it official.
He did. And like said he'd been putting it off, really, it's time, and just, oh my goodness. And he knows. He knows intellectually, but also he can empathize, what it means for her, and he gave her that.
Yeah.
And it was just such a gift, and you could tell how much it meant to her, and then he just, like, oh, okay, yep, we're hugging now. Good
Oh,
times.
yes. It was a serious hug.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think the show's already pointed out some of the parallels they have in terms of the family pressure that they've been under. But I think this whole time, I can't say he's been grooming her, but he's been working. He
Like
points out,
he validates the crap out of Farah.
oh yeah, and like professionally and personally, but I just love the fact that he's read her file. He's remembered what specialties she has, and even points out, you would do a better job at this than I would. You have the training.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the little bit of archaeology of trying to dig someone out of a tree. Yeah, so he's done his homework. He he's quoting the book. He is making it absolutely airtight because knowing Farah and not knowing not only how much she values law and order, but also how much I think her anxiety would prevent her from seeing that as action. He does everything to make it by the book.
Yes, and just that was a great moment. That was a great way to kind of start off that whole.
Mm-hmm. I am here for Farah to basically have an entire town under her very benevolent thumb. Badass sheriff. Well, yeah, they had a great moment, and we now know that Todd and Farah are at least slightly canon now.
I mean, there's something there, but we already knew that there wasn't, like a label on it. Like Fair
Yeah,
even said, there wasn't a label, so.
and I really, really loved that when she started saying like, "Oh, and that's when I knew." I was like, "Oh no, don't make this you were the one and everything's perfect and everything." I was really worried they were going down that route, and she was just like, "That's when I knew that," and she made it about her, about like her sense of belonging, her sense of independence. I don't know, it just became a very freeing, affirmative kind of moment.
Agreed.
Hmm. Like, like they said, they're adults. They could do whatever the hell they want as characters. And I will be very happy for Farah and Todd and all their happiness. But I'm glad that that moment was about her.
Agreed.
And I'm glad that Todd and Dirk had their relationship moment.
Yes, that was big. Because I mean,
It was.
we're not as far as they were getting on the like emotional conversation.
That was it. It was. I'm not even gonna say it was as close to. It was a declaration of love.
It
Maybe not
was.
the kind of love that all of the fans would want, but it. Oh goodness, it made my heart full.
No, I mean, if you think about it, like in canon, they haven't known each other for very long, but they've gone through these, transformative experiences together. It's brought them close together. And yeah, so they're able to say, even if it took magic to get it out in the open, they've been working towards it. And
They
just to
have.
say, like, you changed my life for the better. This is important. You and I together. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful
Yeah.
that,
We're gonna work through our problems together, and we're gonna be best friends forever.
exactly. It's a great thing. You don't see, that kind of emotional honesty um, between two male characters very often. So no matter what the
Especially.
context of the relationship, that was like a solid plus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that people's first concerts ended up being a good experience.
Exactly. Since the rest of the very normal detective work didn't go quite as planned.
Oh, no, it didn't. That diner scene, it's like Dirk was trying to recreate everything that he, got taken away from right at the end of season one. His diner with his friends and his really sugary food and the boring detective agency work. He was just setting everything up, and then of course Arnold walks in and is incredibly dramatic, and it's just
Yeah, the kind of the show can get away with having, the really dramatic reveals like that, and it's just perfect.
Yeah, because even Dirk is going, all right, it's getting ridiculous now.
Yeah, they did have a couple moments like that. Um, but it's interesting. If nothing else, it just goes to show how much, Dirk really, he wants to excel. Like, he wants to, be a brilliant detective. He wants to, solve all the cases and kind of, like, be, admired and adored. But he doesn't want it to be, something outside of his control. He wants it to be, his. He wants to be able to own it instead of just, being tossed around.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed in terms of parallels to last season is he said he really emphasized the phrase breaking the mold. And for some reason, all in my head I could hear was break the pattern. Just, his directive
Ah,
to Todd before, take control of your life, break the pattern. Except it's almost he wants the opposite to happen. You
yeah.
know, he doesn't want interesting things to happen. He wants, to stop all the interesting things.
Oh, that is interesting because, he said that, Todd was the one who sort of inspired it. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that was definitely the, like, fate and chance aren't mutually exclusive, like, conversation, take control of
Ah,
your life.
oh, I don't even know which direction to go in now. Do you want to start talking about Fate and Chance and our resident Wood Witch, or do you want to talk about Arnold and his drama? Where do you want to go with this?
I, I definitely was very interested with, Wapti with Nasi. She's the one who started the whole episode with that, vaguely prophetic kind of opening scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I would love to talk about them. Yeah, the opening, I couldn't get all of the words, but it
Okay,
was
I think I've
quite
got it
long.
if you need.
Yes, please.
So, once upon a time, a boat in a field, a married couple gone missing, a gun that shoots air, and then there is a hidden house, a prophecy from another world. Surely these pieces don't fit. Left unwatered, a plant will die. Left unloved, a good child could go bad. Left untended, a dream could become a nightmare.
Thank you. I hadn't gotten some of that. I am, as a bit of a side note, I am curious about the hidden house bit because Arnold kept talking about, the fences are down or something like that. So I am curious about what has happened with this house in the past. But
Oh, okay, yeah.
but for some reason, I don't know what's happening with that last bit. Left unwatered, left unloved, unattended.
I
What
did
is
find
what?
that really interesting as the opening of the episode because I felt like, yes, it's prophetic, for future episodes, and we don't quite know what it means yet, but I could also draw parallels between some of the stuff that followed in the episode. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, from the really obvious, like, left unwatered, a plant will die, and then it switches right to the rowdies.
Oh no, no. Okay. All right.
Just
Yeah.
like, I stopped existing a long time ago, and not gonna lie, this sucks.
Grips. I love him. Okay.
I know you do. I love them all, and that was
Mm.
very hard to see. But also the left unloved, a good child could go bad. Um, I feel there's definitely some implications there with the boy and the Cardenases.
All right. Maybe we should go back to Arnold. We'll jump around a bit because I do want to talk about that.
Okay, the only other thing was also we did get one other reference to a child being left alone and unloved in the episode.
Yeah.
Bart. We got some
Mm,
Bart Curlish background, and
you're
that
right.
consisted pretty
It
much
does. It does
entire
really show the episode, doesn't it?
yeah, and that consisted pretty much entirely of her, being alone when she was very small.
But she doesn't go bad. She's beautiful and soft.
She's she's a beautiful creature. Um, but, she does kill people.
Not right now.
No, she's on strike, but
Yeah.
that was just something I considered. I don't know if that's related, but
No, I really love that because it could be just one of those strange parallels,
mhm.
or it could really be an indication of something. Maybe she's keeping tabs on everyone.
And honestly, we know Bart's there for a reason, and that isn't very evident yet. There's a couple of
Mm,
characters that we just don't know where they fit yet. Like,
yeah,
Bart doesn't have a purpose yet, apart from being wonderful. Eddie, Farah's brother, doesn't
right.
necessarily have like a role to play yet.
Every once in a while, he just calls to remind us that he's here.
Yeah, I was waiting for him just to, come back. I think everyone's convinced that the phone is, bugged, but
Mm,
we'll see how that plays out. Um, but yeah, so we don't really know how they fit. And of course, the other person that we don't know quite how they fit yet, or what exactly happened with them in the past to connect them, is Arnold.
mm, yes. Um, who's not having a good day.
Nope.
But he said a few interesting things. Again, he talked about the fences breaking down, and you bringing up the fact that it's a hidden house, which, I'm assuming it's this house, the Cardenas family home. I'm wondering what kind of protections were there before. And he knows a lot of very specific details, mentions the old snail witch, and then when he sees the crayon drawings, he said this is the plan for how it was going to be.
Yes,
So,
how it was going to be.
which means that it seems like there was some kind of intent and
How
creation.
what was going to be? Like the entirety of Wendemore being created? Somehow guiding the future of an already created Wendemore? A story that had nothing to do with like an actual separate universe, but that somehow led to the creation of. I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a reality that has people creating prophecies about it, so it could be that, I don't know, that stories have a lot of power, and that perhaps some kind of narrative aspect of fate could be at play. I really have no idea. But I also know he was blaming himself for a lot of things. He said, like that was the plan for how it was going to be. He's adopting some ownership over it. He also mentions the 67 was his fault.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept saying that he ended it. We don't know how he ended it.
But he
And
did something.
he did something and got very angry at it and was basically choking Dirk and saying, "You know what I did. I did what I had to do."
Yeah.
Which makes it really seem like, honestly, for me, it makes it seem like he tried to kill something or someone.
Or succeeded in killing something or someone.
Maybe. The thing
Um,
from the boat wasn't human.
yeah,
I did what I had to do.
the thing from the boat. Now, there have been some really interesting theories, not necessarily related to that line, but kind of like proceeding and kind of now encapsulating it. I think it was 1 second. very charismatic dragon on
Excellent
Tumblr
name.
was the first person I saw to kind of point out the kind of, you know, there's 10,000 sub-themes of this series, but this season has specifically had a lot of siblings.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, we've had, you know, Todd and Amanda, we've had the Dankdamores, and we've had the Trosts, and we've had Farah and her brother, and they made the guess that the Cardenases had 2 children. One of the, like, big, you know, pieces of evidence in favor are the marks on the doorframe that we saw.
Thank you. I was trying to figure out who wrote that, and I was going back for the whole week, and I could not remember which post it was. So thank you for the charismatic dragon, because yeah, I also had some ideas about that.
Yeah, so I'm all behind that. I definitely feel like that is definitely plausible. And I don't know about you, but with the idea of, you know, what they brought back from the boat, um, I was getting, at first, significantly, you know, like Superman, you know, strange craft appears from the sky and, you know, there's a baby on board and we're gonna raise it despite its, you know, strange alien powers.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Honestly, that's kind of where my brain is going right now. I don't know if you want to, if
Well,
you have another theory.
not necessarily another theory, but my brain started there, but it kind of switched. I decided that, you know, it was less, you know, sci-fi, you know, superhero type tropes. And considering all the talk during this episode of fairy tales,
Mm-hmm.
when they were mentioned, you know, with Susie and just kind of like the general, you know, what we've been talking about with like the woods and the magic and all that, I am getting like some serious actual fairy tale vibes.
Oh, the fair folk.
Exactly. You know, strange creatures in the woods, dispensing gifts, gifts that could possibly, you know, turn sour, dancing in the woods, even
And,
if it was in revelry, and
and the strange, scary stories about people, I don't know, taking children and leaving something else in its wake.
yes, changelings.
Yes. Ooh. Ooh. I like this. I like this a lot because I was also thinking about I wasn't thinking of an alien sort of thing, but some kind of child, and I like the idea of a changeling, something that maybe took on the guise of a child, that seemed like a gift. They kept talking about, yeah, I don't know, that it seemed as though what the family was getting before was gifts. And what would be a better gift for a small, potentially lonely boy than a friend or a sibling?
Mm-hmm.
We know he at least had that secret underground sort of play area, and I can imagine that being something that you would share with someone else. Playing trains or dressing up as cowboys or watching television,
Sharing
with
your,
a
you
friend.
know, magical made up Narnia world.
Exactly. And I would also like to point out, I feel like it's one of these things that there's too many things in the air and I can't keep track of them. But in episode 3 and in previous episodes, we've seen a thin childlike arm drawing Wendamore by firelight. And for the longest time, I was convinced that it was Farson. But now we know that that's probably not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Not locked anywhere in the house, that he, doesn't have any access to crayons, that, his situation is very different. So I'm wondering who's connected to that arm and who would have been drawing things like that. We see them drawing, a windmill, parts of Wendemore, and it could be a flashback. It could just be something that's showing us young Arnold, but it seems like a lot of mystery and shadow, and also a very strange thing to do. I don't know what we would get out of having a flashback besides really, really intentional misdirection. So I'm wondering if there's something left in that house, potentially trapped. I don't know, the gift, the friend that came from the boat.
Okay. That's really interesting because honestly, I kind of viewed it as, well, I think my thinking was informed more by another post, by this one.
Please share.
What was that?
Please share.
Okay, well, this one, I believe was Princess Paradoxical, who started to talk about the connection between some people that we saw who were about the same age in this season,
Okay.
and that was Arnold, the mage, and Moloch. Another one who we haven't really seen their purpose yet. And just kind of like generally talking about, just the fact that they're, all sort of there. And it seems like they should be connected, if nothing else, just going by the age. But it seems slightly more telling the fact that we've seen Moloch's door open during Amanda's vision in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly, the fact that Moloch might be awake now, right as Arnold goes into a coma.
Ah. Well, we assume he goes into a coma.
We assume. He's gonna be in the hospital.
Relatively unresponsive, yes. Huh. That could be really interesting. Because even if he's not in a coma, there could be something about shared energy or consciousness or, I don't know, a strange duality or multiplicity. Is that a word? Yes, I'm making it a word.
But no, I really liked where they were going with that, kind of jumping off of where I was with, the changeling idea. Parents want another child, child wants a friend. They're magically delivered this, infant or this, this boy.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe as he gets older, he starts demonstrating some abilities that, they weren't expecting. And it starts off innocently enough, talking about, this world that, he and Arnold are creating together. And maybe, as he gets older, he gets angrier. And
a broken vase here or there.
A broken vase here or there. The family starts kind of coming apart. Honestly, I'm just picturing, the husband, trying to run or else trying to confront the kid and getting stabbed with the scissors, and then the mom, trying to drive away to save herself, and the entire car just gets like bodily picked up and thrown into a tree.
Oh God, Sam, I know you're a fan of the Twilight Zone. Do you remember there was a specific episode in the classic television show about an entire town that was held under the thrall of this basically unlimitedly powered boy?
He was gonna send people into the cornfield or something.
Yes, he was going to send people into the cornfield. That's right. And people like created their own TV shows of who he was, and they had to all enjoy games, even though they were horrible. There were the creations of some rather horrific monsters and dogs, I think,
Right.
which kind of follows the Flying Purple People Eater. I don't know, just a
No,
thought.
no,
Even the
exactly.
idea, it's
I
all
like that
set like
idea.
a birthday party, which reminds me a lot of the hell that Dirk fell into, the overly garishly bright birthday.
Okay, no, I like that idea. The family being kind of held captive.
Until Arnold decided to do something to end it.
Exactly. Maybe,
And then,
he picked up the scissors, meaning to, not knowing what he was gonna do, but like meaning to do something, and, it went wrong.
maybe, yeah, it could be a it could be a way for him to have caused the 67, or found some way to use electricity to, stop whatever it is that was holding his family hostage. And that could fit in with the whole Moloch angle if,
If Moloch was,
something.
the thing in the boat, put him into a coma for the last, however many years.
Yeah. And let the government, I don't know, tape up the house. But in the meantime, in that struggle, his parents got sent into the cornfield.
No, I like that reference. I like that a lot. That is just emotionally, viscerally horrible enough to, kind of fit where I was going.
Yeah. Yeah. You gave me the feeling. I just made the connection with it.
You're
But yeah,
welcome.
bright yellow flowers and broken vases and, I don't know, overly pained smiles.
Yeah.
So who knows what came off of the boat. But yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning a lot towards something that maybe appeared quite innocent and human-like.
Yes.
And I'm
The
wondering if it's still around. It could be Moloch, it could be a different character, it could be the hitherto unexplained child drawing, it could be the house, because we know that the house certainly has a mind of its own.
hmm There was that one other person, we mentioned. We still don't understand the connection with the mage in all of this.
Hmm.
And we got to
Yeah.
see a bit more of his human side. Um,
Hmm.
or at least, like the uncertain side,
Yeah, he seems pretty genuinely terrified.
which is always interesting in your villains. And one thing this
Because
show does
suddenly
very
he
well.
seems less villainous, or not less villainous, less of a master villain, and more of just an evil person.
Mm-hmm. But
And it
yeah,
really
he looked,
contrasted with what Arnold was saying, this is the way it was supposed to be, versus the mage going, it wasn't supposed to be like this.
nice parallel there.
I'm doing all the parallels.
Um, but yeah, what I found interesting was just, he obviously hadn't seen the mural before. And just, like I said, my mind was going back into, stories and tropes and all of that this episode. So the idea of this, story being, played out, and we got the ending of it. That entire whole wall of the mural is just different endings for the mage.
Mm.
And getting, locked in a train in the sky to go around and round forever. It seemed like the mage was new to the idea that this could have, that like this is a story or a thing that could repeat, or a thing that was precedented.
What, like a thing that happened before? Or just a thing that was already foretold?
I'm almost wondering if it's happened before.
Yeah, I feel like the two questions that came up for me with this was what exactly he meant by it wasn't supposed to be like this. Did he mean that he didn't want it to be like this, or that he's realizing that he was never supposed to win?
For me, I felt like it seemed he was promised by someone that it wouldn't be like that it would be something else. And this, like, apparent contradiction or the idea of, another possibility felt like him saying, like, no, I was assured, you know, I'm
Uh,
I'm gonna find the answers. Because that was another thing. He said he was looking for answers, or at least implied it. And it kind of makes you wonder, who was he looking for answers from?
it seems
Which,
like this entire show, let alone this entire season, focuses and does a very good job of making us think that people who are villains are heroes and people who are heroes are villains.
well, I'm thinking you're thinking what I'm thinking, because,
Why don't you lay down what we're
alright,
thinking?
if someone's looking for answers in this episode, the person who has been dishing them out quite freely was, once again, our favorite wood witch, Waptu Agnasi.
We are thinking the same thing. I said in, what was it, the first or second of these podcasts that we did, I just kind of pointed out, I wonder why the hell she's bringing Dirk into this, because as far as I can tell, she's the only one who came up with his name as someone to be connected with all of this. And
No, you definitely called that.
And I'm just curious, she does conveniently seem to have all the answers, and she's also conveniently, like you were saying, the one person that people would go to initially in order to sort out any of these conflicts.
Yeah, she's the one who's kind of claiming to see how everything's going. Um, and also, her interaction with Amanda, I was really looking forward because I just wanted to see her. She looked so cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I really wanted to see where they were going with the character. But honestly, like, from the moment she and Amanda started talking, I was like, what?
Could I bring up a reference? It's nowhere near as cool as your fairy changeling idea.
No, please do.
Last week it was Greek myths. This week, not just because of the Bafuki Napu, but I am getting an incredibly strong Alice in Wonderland vibe.
Oh, okay. Please elaborate on that.
Well, besides the fact that, you have a confused girl dumped into a strange world, basically falling down a hole. But I really saw Watki, I can never pronounce their name, Watki Upnasi, as the caterpillar that Alice first encounters. And I was wondering if I could read just a very, very short section of advice from a caterpillar.
Yeah, go for it.
Book. Okay. And to the fact that Watki and the caterpillar actually quote each other at one point. Mm-hmm. The caterpillar and Alice looked at each other for some time in silence. At last the caterpillar took the hookah out of his mouth and addressed her in a languid, sleepy voice. "Who are you?" said the caterpillar. This was not an encouraging opening for a conversation. Alice replied rather shyly, I hardly know, sir, just at present. It was when I got up this morning. Changed several times since then. What do you mean by that? Said the caterpillar sternly. Explain yourself. I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir, said Alice, because I'm not myself, you see. And so,
Wow. Okay.
yes.
I wouldn't have thought of that, but yeah, hell yeah. That
We got the
definitely
trippy
fits.
environment. We got the strangely all-knowing, but also very interrogative character that our traveler stumbled across, complete with extra hands, which was quite creepy. And you have very specifically that challenge, that direct question, who are you? And a person who isn't very happy until they get our protagonist to say the answer that they want.
All right. No, I
And it's
love that. That's so
oriented.
brilliant.
Thank you. No, it popped into my head. Just as soon as he said, "Who are you?" I don't know, my Disney sense started tingling. I had to go back and look at that and read parts of the book. But it seems like there's a very disorienting aspect to that. We're not exactly getting like hookah and vapors or anything like that, but
But
we
no, it
have.
was definitely, like, is this all gonna keep happening like this? Just
Mhm.
definitely out of her
Nothing was.
depth and definitely very disoriented.
And then Watki, seemingly kindly, um, kind of makes her question her personhood and
Yes, which is,
and basically directs her into seeing herself in a different way, which could be benign, but could also be is also very directive, very manipulative.
it is honestly just her trying to divorce Amanda from herself.
Hmm.
Especially when you
Yeah.
consider, again, we've talked about Amanda being, a disabled or a chronically ill person, She already doesn't have a great relationship with her body, even before all of the strange powers started developing that she had no control over. Um, it just trying to get her to divorce herself from her body and her life and, the people that are connected to that to be just a consciousness or just an ability that can be used seems
Hmm.
extremely fishy, especially when you consider the fact that this ability, was causing Amanda pain, but Wakti was still, like, encouraging her not to stop. She didn't direct her to, find her friends that can help them, defeat the Kellum Knights, who just so coincidentally showed up to, threaten her only
Hmm.
friend currently in the universe, uh, who happened to be separated from her because they were knocked unconscious and dragged apart by Wakti and, the creatures of the forest. Um, I don't remember where the beginning of that sentence started.
It's okay.
But yeah, it seems possibly a very sinister thing to do. And oh, just the fact that she didn't specifically direct Amanda to find her friends, the Rowdies, which was another brilliant moment. Um,
Oh.
she directed her to find, power. And
Hmm.
it seems like she was happy that Amanda was, after the fact, was happy that she had developed her powers, but definitely seemed like there was a solution that she was going for, that she needed Amanda's power for, that was not what Amanda had in mind. And, like, the entire plan was kind of foiled by the power of friendship
The rowdies always come in and mess everything up.
in the most beautiful way possible.
Oh, of course. But yeah, I like the way that you set that up. Um, Basically changing Amanda's sense of self so that she becomes only her consciousness or her ability. And then also we hear Watki saying something about, this will be your task, like if you survive, already setting it up as like a foregone conclusion that Amanda is going to keep working at this and is going to get something out of it or get her something out of it.
Yeah.
And just sometimes even the way with that one phrase that the witch says, fate and chance are not mutually exclusive. And then she just tacks on the end, and then there's free will.
Which I did like, especially because it mirrors what Todd said earlier, but then, that addition, but then there's also free will, gives you kind of like an element of hope.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I definitely, I am being very cautious as we go along with Wakti, as we delve more into, the Wendemore universe. And actually, after I ended up writing like a bit on my fears and concerns, only to find another person post after that an even longer breakdown on their whole interaction. And that person was, I believe, Violacious hyphen Faye
Ah,
on
yes. I
Tumblr.
remember that.
Had a really great breakdown. Also had a couple of additions towards the ends, especially relating to the clown doll that Wakti threw into the well,
Right.
reminding them of puppets like you would use to cast spells, which was really interesting. Um,
Oh.
and also just as, a bit of, a self-congratulatory thing, I like the fact that they ended their post with, "Beware the fairy food you eat, Amanda Brotzman," because that just ties back into my thoughts. So, really good read. Again, that link will be posted in the description. I would highly recommend it.
Excellent. I need to find. I'm not as prepared. I got swept up into Lewis Carroll. I do remember there was one post that I will have to find and leave in the links where someone talked about the prophecy again and mentioned the apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing in some ways quite a large parallel between Amanda and Susie, both who are becoming apprentices of magic users, both of whom have had some kind of physical disability or chronic illness and have had, through almost supernatural means, it ameliorated. They've been told that what they thought was a hindrance to them would actually be a source of their power, and that they could kind of leave everything else behind and, use their new gifts to their advantage. So I'm kind of curious about what might happen with this prophecy bit and who the apprentice might actually be and where that might go.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you were first given the prophecy, some parts of it seemed really obvious, but like as we're reaching, the second half of the season, more pieces are falling into place. I think we're going to see, like we saw in season 1, some things that are obvious on the face of it, really, really kind of shake out differently. So I would
Or might be
definitely,
a bit too conveniently laid out.
exactly, we want it to be, the mage is the wizard and Susie is, the apprentice, and the houses are united in that, we want
Mhm.
Silas and Panto to get married and, them all to join forces and,
And the crayon drawings to come true, and the mage to
exactly.
be defeated and locked in the train, and smiley faces reign forever.
hmm Yeah, can I ask also, thinking about the Tross and the Dangdamores, where did Farson, as a Dangdamore, get the idea that Wakti was like a benevolent and protective figure?
Oh. Hmm. And where did he get the idea that he could go to her for advice on how to fix things?
Exactly.
Hmm. There's a lot of people. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people directing, um, moving them to different spaces or different places. We have Mona and we have Watki, and now we know that both of them are in contact with each other,
Yeah.
even if we don't know who's in charge.
I mean, I can guess, but again, we don't want to, make too many assumptions.
No, never any assumptions.
But yeah, we will see. And we've got the next episode should hopefully be bringing us even more answers. What happened with Hobbs? What was the truck driving? What's going to be
And
going on with Amanda and the Rowdies now that they're reunited in Wendemore? What's going to be advancing with
Lori's,
Amanda's powers?
will Panto ever get out of jail?
Well, Panto, honestly, just let the guy, you know, just let him have a donut and open the door.
Yeah, he's doing his best,
He's doing his
according
best.
to the prophecy that he's been given.
Yeah,
And he has a lot of faith. And I would really hate to see that faith used against him.
exactly. He's doing his best to hold the line.
Hold the line. Oh no,
Um,
no, no, that makes me, oh no, I want to take that back. I feel like there could be some horribly cheesy, awful thing about love not always being on time, and I don't want anything to happen to Silas. I don't want anything to happen to people. I
even though we know that Priest is likely meeting up with everybody, according to the new
I don't
trailer.
know. Yeah, the new trailer. And Farah was ready to throw down.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I do not want him anywhere near her, but I also really want her to make him hurt.
But also, yeah, I don't want him anywhere near any of them.
Yeah.
Well, more heartbreak and emotion to
Like,
follow.
well, I guess one good thing about us getting this out late is we don't have too much longer to wait until we find out.
Oh. Well, with that
Until then.
being said, until next time. And again, this has been Chasing the Rabbit. Please join us, I'd say next week, but please join us in a couple of
Shortly.
days for the next episode of Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. And until then, keep sobbing.